Hello. All right. I think the camera is well positioned. I am streaming live from the Uptown branch of the Chicago Public Library. Um, this library system is great because you can book rooms like this one. Uh, it also comes with some distractions sometimes. Um, God is bogus. Someone is saying that God is bogus. That's an interesting attraction. Uh, anyway, this is another Divine Truth Chicago event that I've organized. No one has come to this event. That is probably partially due to the fact that I scheduled this event 3 hours ago. I think for the most part, I really want to just share some of these things with you, and I want to practice. And I think if I had someone with me, I don't know, it might be. I just really wanted to come here, and I didn't want to think about who would come and who wouldn't come. And I do see that as a problem because, I think ultimately I should be interacting with people. Feeling kind of nervous right now. My words aren't coming out very well. I have a lot of reservations about doing this at this time. I have a lot of doubts about doing this. I'm surprised that I came here. I'm surprised that I made it. I had kind of an inspiration to do it about 4 hours ago to just, why don't I go and do this? And, I live on the south side of Chicago. This is the north side. So I took the subway all the way up. And anyway, here I am. I just want to share that I am kind of nervous, but I'm going to try to get through that. I think one way that I'll get through my own emotions is by talking about them. So I might pause during this lecture to tell you how I'm feeling if I do pause and if I do find myself stuttering. And in that way, I will be able to go through it, I hope. So today, I want to talk about the human soul. And specifically, I want to talk about emotions. Emotions are incredible. I feel like this truth is so meaningful. And if we want to improve ourselves and if we want to go anywhere in our lives, and I don't just mean, a vacation to Southeast Asia, which I'd love to do. I mean, improve in the way that we experience the world. If we want to improve in the way we experience the world, if we want to experience more joy, more fulfillment, more success, more happiness in our life, then we have to understand the importance of emotions. So this point I really want to try to drive home today. I think a lot of men especially will be surprised that we are meant to be emotional beings, that emotions aren't something that we should be afraid of. Emotions are something that we should embrace. I think that's, that right there is very powerful. I feel the power of that when I talk about it. Someone just walked in the hallway towards my door and looked in, and I looked this way and caught her as she looked in, or as she was walking away. But I have a pretty good suspicion that she was looking to see who was in here, and for whatever reason. Why am I bringing this up? Because I just experienced an emotion. What just went through my mind is, was I right to book this location at this time? am I taking, this was a well-dressed lady, and she looks very professional. She looked kind of serious, maybe somewhat intimidating. And in that moment, I questioned whether I should be here and whether it was right for me to be here. So that is an emotion that I have. So it's a little rowdy here. You might be hearing some people in the hall. Someone repeated the phrase, God is bogus. I will say that is the first time I've ever heard that. Something to think about. Some people apparently think that God is bogus. I don't want to laugh at them. I mean, like, I think that's funny. I think it's funny because God is so rarely talked about that even though what he's saying is kind of you might think of it as a blasphemy. I don't really think of it as a blasphemy. I think of it as kind of a prodding, and I think God can take it. But the fact that even though he is saying something that you could say is mocking towards God, or the idea of God being mocked, it's kind of funny because it's better that something is being said at the very least, instead of everyone keeping their feelings at bay, holding their feelings locked inside of them, and not saying anything, not expressing anything. So I'm just expressing to you what's going on in my environment, and this is a way for me to segue into what I'm going to go into next. I mean, what I really want to drive home today is that we are experiencing emotions all of the time. Think about how try and feel at this very moment what you're feeling. You're watching this video. What did you feel like 10 minutes ago before you started watching this video? What did you feel about when you woke up this morning? What did you feel? How did it feel to wake up? What was that process for you? Think about yesterday. Think about a key moment in your day yesterday. Can you remember? I can think of one thing that occurred to me yesterday that was pretty powerful, where I drive handicapped people for a living, and I had a handicapped person who was very bubbly and light on my vehicle. She was in her 70s, her early 70s, and I felt very strongly that she had a facade and that she was presenting this bubbly, positive, image to myself. And I didn't feel like I could connect with her, and I felt that there was very likely a lot of sadness underneath. And at one point, I had to slam on my brakes because someone in a very tight lane of the road, someone opened their door into the space that I was about to enter. So I had to slam my brakes very strongly, and that made the video camera go off my vehicle. And when the video camera goes off in the vehicle, that means the boss is watching you. Because anytime you go over a pothole, or you swerve too strongly, or you crash into another vehicle, or anything happens that jiggers that mechanism, they want that to be recorded. So I knew at that moment that my boss was recording me. And at the time, I was having one hand on the steering wheel, and you're supposed to have two hands on the steering wheel at all times. So I felt ashamed of myself and my behavior, and very fearful that there would be some repercussions. And a little later, the passenger was telling me, the directions to her place, which we were coming up to shortly. And I said, I'm very stressed out right now. I'm just going to follow my map. And she then proceeded to tell me to calm down. And whenever I hear someone tell me calm down, I know instinctively that that's the wrong advice, because well, in some ways it's the right advice because I am in a safe, my job is to be safe on the road. But in some ways, but in general, to calm oneself is a way of uh, pushing down your emotions, essentially. And the ultimate goal is to feel all of our emotions. So, what the heck am I talking about? So, I'm going to try and get into it here. I don't know if you can see the top of my uh, whiteboard here. I'm going to be using this whiteboard today. um, on the top, I have a little list of things that I want to talk about. At the very top, I have the universe and the universes. That's what I have at the very top. And then I have the bodies, and then I have the soul, and then I have emotions. So this is just a way for me to kind of pace myself and try and get through the material that I want to get through. I didn't prepare very much today. I remember one time I asked if I could give a sermon at a church, and I wanted to talk about my life. And there was so much that I wanted to talk about, so much that I wanted to share. And I remember knowing that I could do it because there was some question as to whether I could pull off a sermon that would be helpful to people. And I knew that I could pull it off because of my increasing desire. I felt more and more desire as, that particular month went by, and even, in times previous. But there was about a month of time that I was increasing in my desire to share. And I found myself thinking about what I wanted to talk about, thinking about how I would put it, thinking about some of the items that, I would share. And it was like an avalanche. It was an avalanche of things that, that I wanted to share with people. And so at that moment, I felt, because there was so much inside of me that, I wanted to share, that I felt very strongly that I wanted to share, I knew that it would go well. And as it happened, when I say I knew, like, I felt very strongly, like kind of like a 99% sure thing. And, you may always have some doubt, you don't know exactly what will happen, but sure enough, it was very successful. I actually gave 3 sermons and it was very successful. So that's kind of how I feel about this. I didn't prepare very much as far as writing things down. I'm not very much into that at this time in my life, but I did think about a lot of these things that I want to present. And so that's what I will be doing. If it feels a little off the cuff, it is. So let's get into it here. Where should I start? So from what I covered last time, I presented to you that there is a God. There is, in fact, a creator being, an entity that is to blame for our life. That might be a bit of a Freudian slip. It just came to me. He is responsible for our life. She is responsible for my life, for our lives. This personage, this being created us. A good way to think of our creator is she is our parent. I like to call, when I'm referring to God, I like to use he, she, or she, he, or him, her, or her, him. That's just the way that I like to do it. I don't feel that I'm as strongly connected as someone like Jesus. Jesus will sometimes, when he's talking about God, refer to God in the feminine, in she or her, and sometimes refer to God in the masculine, he or him. And I don't feel that I have as developed a relationship with God as Jesus. So it's just the way that I do it. But I did cover that God has masculine qualities and feminine qualities. So I want to do something with you here. I want you to imagine that this whiteboard is God. Now, the truth is that, of course, this whiteboard is not God, but also God cannot be contained as far as we know. And Jesus is the most developed soul that we're aware of in the realm of the universe that we're a part of. So Jesus knows the most about God. And what he has to say about God, his understanding of God, his, I dare say, belief in God, is that God is an infinite being. And when I first heard that, I was pretty surprised. You know, I thought, how could that be? How can there be anything infinite? What does that mean? And it was impossible for me to cognate. And when I returned to that thought and idea, as I ruminated on it, I found it's still impossible to cognate. But, so I'm just, for the purposes of this exercise, asking you to consider this whiteboard to be a representation of God. Okay? So now I'm going to draw for you a representation of the universe in which we dwell. So this is a diagram of the universe in which we dwell. How should I do this? Okay. Do you see it? Do you see the universe? I'm not sure you can see it. It's right here. I'm kind of joking here, but this is a good way to represent the universe in which we dwell in reference to our Creator God. I drew a small dot right there. So I'm kind of joking here, but I do mean what I say. Our universe, compared to this entity, God, is quite small. And as far as we know, there may be many, many universes. Jesus suggests that there are many universes. He's even suggested at one point that it may be possible in the fathoms of time for him to develop into a condition in which he is able to create his own universe. So that seems kind of out there. Like for myself, it seemed kind of out there. But yeah, another thing that's kind of hard to cognate, as it's hard to cognate that God is an infinite being. Anyway, what I want to show you with this is that our universe, like, we can't fathom not only how large it is, but how small it is in comparison to our Creator. So, I mean, the way that we see our universe might be closer to, like, this size, right? And we being just like a very minute speck. And the important thing to understand is that God is this infinite being beyond all of that. And I'm taking this straight from Jesus, but Jesus understands the universe to be inside of God. Now, that's not to say that we are God, or we necessarily have the full substance of God inside of us, in our makeup. It's just to say that we are encompassed, this universe is encompassed in this being, God. So maybe another thing that might blow your mind. I mean, these concepts blow my mind, and I do take it in intellectually first before I take it in emotionally. Anyway, so the universe, okay? So now let's talk about, I might have to change the order here a little bit, but let's talk about the bodies, okay? So the bodies. what I'm talking about here is the bodies of the human being. And Jesus doesn't really refer to it in this way, but I'll just tell you what I'm thinking of. So the human being is soul, spirit body, spirit, and physical. Let's just use this as a representation. So imagine that this is your soul. Jesus does not refer to this as a body, but I think that you can call it kind of like a form. But this is the soul. This is the human being. This is actually who we are, as far as we know. There could be parts to us, or there could be something beyond this that we're not aware of. But as far as Jesus understands, this is who we are, is the soul. And we have two appendages created at the time of our conception. And those appendages are the physical body and the spirit body. So let's say that this is one half of the soul, okay? So that is the spirit body, okay? Now I'm going to draw the physical body, okay? So I've just drawn one half of the soul here. And now I'm going to draw the other half. We have the spirit body, and we have the physical body. And of course, we have an elongated neck. That's a joke, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm drawing two men here. This isn't something that I've done in my last video. By the way, I did want to say this. I've left some links below this video. Jesus explains this material much better than I can. So I have no problem with you leaving this video for a better explanation. I really would like to get more of this information out there generally. So if you feel more drawn to the way that I present, feel free to continue watching. But I would recommend watching some of Jesus's seminars. So I didn't do this in my last presentation, but I'm doing it here. I'm drawing two men. And what I'm suggesting here is that our souls can be homosexual. So in this case, it would be a male homosexual soul, all right? Now what I could also do is, represent this however you would like. But what I could also do, I'm taking this from Jesus. It's all from Jesus pretty much. But what you could also do is draw something like a dress to represent women. All right. And in that case, we have two women in one soul. So what I'm suggesting here is these two people are soulmates. All right. So this is the soul. This is the soul, the physical body, and the spirit body. Two people in one. One person that is represented by two hearts. I feel a little distracted by my own inability to present these things as well as Jesus can. I'm not operating from a place in which I understand all of these things. Even our language is part, our language is part of the problem. And I have complete confidence that at some point our language will change and alter, and we will be able to express some of these concepts that the world is not very aware of in a better way. I may end this video. Because I feel unable to really present it as well as I would like to. But I want to continue, and I may just end it early. I was planning on going about 2 hours, but I want to continue to one part which I think is really amazing and really beautiful, which is what I would call the universes in the universe in which we dwell. So to try and make that less confusing, I'm going to draw something, another circle. All right. So this is, what you're looking at here is the soul universe. All right. Just to bring some color into everything, let's draw some red. Why not? All right. So that is the soul universe. All right. Now, we're going to draw something within that universe. This is the spirit universe, the spirit realm, the many dimensions of the spirit world. You can use any of those terms. So I'm going to use the spirit universe. All right. So we have the soul universe, and we have the spirit universe. And the spirit universe is within the soul universe. Now I'm going to draw one more circle. This is, let's see how well green works. It doesn't work very well, I don't think. I think this is my best marker, the blue one here. This is the physical universe, or the material universe. Okay? The physical universe. All right. So we have the soul universe, we have the spirit universe, we have the physical universe. The size isn't so important, but what's important is to understand that everything works, in this higher dimensional fabric of the soul universe. And the spirit universe and the physical universe exists in that fabric. And the physical universe is governed by the spirit universe, and even more deeply, you might say, the soul universe. So what am I suggesting here? What am I suggesting? I'm suggesting that this wireless mouse and this ballpoint pen and this dry erase marker, all these things that exist in the physical universe, and my physical body and your physical body and your friend's physical body and your mother's physical body and your father's physical body, they are all simply parts of the physical universe. And I'm suggesting that there's more to the universe in which we are a part. So think of this whole whiteboard at this time to be the universe in which we exist. Well, that's not accurate. Scratch that. We have the soul universe that essentially, this is the point I want to make. The soul universe which governs the spirit universe and the physical universe. So that might suggest to you that it's pretty important to understand what the soul is and what the soul is doing. So that's really the point that I'm going to drive home to you. I'm going to erase all of this now. All right. So now it is time for the meat of this discussion. What is the human soul? So I'm going to present to you the basics that Jesus has already talked about. The human soul, what it contains, what it does. So the human soul contains my marker's not working because I just put water. I feel like this is falling apart. I'm 32 minutes in. I think I'm going to sit down. Hello from this vantage point. All right. Why did I want to do this today? I'm sure that many people may have clicked away by this point. That's all right. Yeah. I feel woefully unable to complete this assignment that I've made for myself. What I wanted to talk about is like how our emotions govern our lives, how our emotions govern, our life, and how our emotions govern the events that we attract into our life. The interactions that we have, all the relationships that we have, all the transactions that we make, whether it's monetary or, loving. And all interactions are either of love or not of love. And I really wanted to talk about the emotions that are not of love, that are not of God. And those emotions are grief, fear, addiction, anger, depression, stoicism, and denial. I feel kind of ashamed. I feel like I can't present a very good face at this point. I think it would be best to just delete this video. I think the truth that I am ignoring is that I have these tools in my toolbox and I don't want to use them. I have an understanding that we are emotional beings and that I have emotions that keep me from being all that I can be. And instead of feeling my emotions, which you can do sitting down, laying down, or just generally throughout your day, I want to do addictive things, which, this is one of my worries today when I came in. Is this an addiction that I'm doing? I don't know how much I really know this material. That's one point that I wanted to make, which is that, I don't know. What's the point of me talking about something that I don't understand, in my soul? How do you feel watching me? Do you feel like this guy is out of his mind? Do you feel sorry for me? Do you feel that it's really too bad that I've made such a mess of myself, that I've embarrassed myself? I know a lot of times that those kinds of feelings are too frightening and you would want to look away just for that reason. It's too embarrassing. The fact that you're watching someone who's embarrassing yourself, the fact that you're watching someone who is embarrassing yourself in your mind may be embarrassing to you. And that may be enough for you to click away. I've like, this is one of the things that is so profound to me. I had a thought and I lost it. I had a feeling and I guess I suppressed it. I think what the feeling was that I've been looking for the key for many years, if not my whole life. I've been looking for a way to understand what is going on. Why do people say they're happy when they're not happy? Why do people profess that everything is all right when things are not all right? What are we looking for? It's really profound to me that we are looking for emotions. We are looking for emotions of joy. That can be ebullience, elation, bliss, choose any word you'd like. But when it was driven home to me that we're actually looking for, joyful emotions, that brought everything into focus. And for me, it was when Jesus told me this, so many things clicked for me. I know that everyone has their own path, and the way you come to that truth might be different. And Jesus does say that to understand something to be the truth, you have to feel it It has to enter you emotionally. That was another thing that I was going to talk about, which is that, these three bodies, and I'm not going to draw it on the board. I don't feel comfortable with that area at this time. And maybe I'm getting back into it here. But these three bodies, right? If we can think of a central dynamo, a central matrix, a nucleus to all of these bodies, this is what I've come up with. I've come up with the physical body having a brain, the spirit body having a mind, and the physical body or the soul body or form having a heart. And I don't know how accurate I am. Jesus hasn't mentioned it in those terms. Jesus hasn't called the central matrix that governs the soul, body, and everything else the heart. He hasn't called it that. But that's what I'm calling it. I often look at my viewer count. I look at whether someone's watching or not, and that is something that makes me feel an emotion. If someone's watching it, I'd feel a sense of trepidation. As I'm looking towards it, I feel a sense of trepidation. I feel kind of an excitement, you might say. It's really extraordinary to look at your life, look at your daily doings, your daily, goings on, and realize that at every moment you're experiencing something emotionally. And it could be that your only emotion is to suppress your emotions. That's an emotion as well. These are all things that you find in the soul. If you're asking yourself where the emotions come from, I'm telling you that they come from your soul. What makes you yourself, what makes you you, is primarily your soul and its functions, its faculties. And God, who is an emotional being, herself, also has emotions. So that's really what I wanted to, talk about today. The fact that we have emotions. What else can I tell you about today? Should I close out the video? Oh. A lot of people think that our emotions are physical hormones. Your body is creating adrenaline or dopamine or any other chemical-based hormone, and that is triggering certain feelings. A lot of people believe that thoughts create our emotions. What I'm suggesting here is that emotions create our thoughts. Have you ever heard the phrase, I'm going to look it up real quick, beware your thoughts? Have you ever heard the nugget of wisdom? Beware your thoughts, they become your words. Here's Mahatma Gandhi. Your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values become your destiny. and this is from Margaret Thatcher. Watch your thoughts, for they become words. Watch your words, for they become actions. Watch your actions, for they become habits. Watch your habit, for they become your character. And watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. What we think, we become. So, this is one of many, inspiring quotes that I heard and really held on to growing up. Another one would be, "Seek and you shall find." That's probably one of my favorites. Another one from the Bible is, when I was, and I can't even remember it, but when I was a child, I acted as a child. Then I became a man, and I put away childish things. Something like that. Anyway, beware your thoughts, they become your words. Beware your words, they become your actions. Beware your actions, they become your behavior. Your habits, then your behavior, then your destiny, something like that. But I'm here to suggest that there is one component behind all of that, and that is the emotions. And I would say don't beware them. Don't beware your emotions. Embrace your emotions. And I say that, but I do it all too infrequently in my life. This is something that Jesus calls humility. When you have a desire to feel all of your emotions. And what I'm sharing with you here, if you've watched this long, is that if you actually develop and have a strong desire to feel all of your emotions, you will be well on your way to ultimate joy. You will reach perfection. And yes, perfection is possible. And you will actually be able to excel beyond the state of perfection, the state of the first human ancestors before they fell. That's incredible to me. Is it incredible to you? Is it amazing to you? Does it move you to think that, to consider that? All these, I mean, I don't want to I don't want to be corny. I don't want to be corny here, but these nuggets of wisdom, they are my treasure chest. I have this little treasure chest, and you know, we are emotional beings. Oh, I put that in my treasure chest. We can attain perfection. Wow, look at that. Put that in my treasure chest. I'm on the verge of tears because it's very beautiful and moving to me. I don't know if you feel the same way. I'm not asking or demanding that you do, but I feel that I will always have those things to work off of, and even if I forget and I deny and I run away from the truth, at some point it may get so hard. The pain of being selfish and denying my own pain may become so strong that I look back and say, who is it that once said, dot, dot, dot? Who is it that once told me, dot, dot, dot? And I'm going to open my treasure chest and, pull out these marvels. So the truth is I don't have a lot of faith in myself at this time. And I feel like I'm on the verge of tears, and it's not for you to watch me do that. And it's not for me to put myself forward in that way. I've never seen Jesus really do that. There are a few times where his voice cracked and something came up for him, but generally he saves that for his private life, and he does dedicate himself to many hours of just personal reflection about how he's feeling, and he really tries to practice what he preaches. And it's not just that. It's not about that. It's not holding to that standard. It's about desiring more for yourself. It's about believing that you can experience more than what you have now. And the truth is, in the case of Jesus, he has already experienced what many would think is the penultimate. He's achieved and exceeded perfection and opened dimensional spaces that no human being has known, and achieved levels of joy that no one really on this earth can comprehend. And I know I might sound arrogant in saying that it's easy to say that, oh, here comes this guy, Alan John Miller, and he creates this whole ideology and he places himself at the top. That's something that I experienced growing up. I grew up in a cult with someone that claimed to be the true parent of humankind. He did place himself in a position below God, but still he was like the go-to guy. And now Jesus is my go-to guy. And I'm probably projecting many emotions that I had towards, the true parent figure that I had previously at Jesus. And that's my own journey, is to discover what is the truth. But it does make sense. It does logically follow that the person sharing this information, if you achieve a level, it's so hard. It's so hard for me to not be distracted by the viewer count. I feel badly for people who want to come onto my streams, because it really unsettles me and destroys my ability to continue, which isn't the problem of the person, who comes to watch. It's my problem that I'm not properly prepared. And it's something that it behooves me to get over, but I'm not getting over. But basically, it's not strange, I think, to consider that Jesus has achieved a state that is higher than everyone else by his own volition, and that now, he's the best person to share because he just knows so much. And I catalog the differences between the true parent that I had growing up and Jesus, who I am looking up to now. The guy I had growing up said that he was the first true parent. You know what? I'm not gonna go into that, because I feel like that's a whole big tangent. Those are my things, my feelings to work out. But if you can see that your emotions germinate your thoughts, I think that's a very powerful truth to understand. So when someone talks about intuition, when someone talks about, this is what you're telling me, but my gut feeling is, when you have two paths in front of you and your gut tells you to go this way and your head tells you to go this way, you're probably better off going with your gut. When you have A, B, C, and D on a multiple choice test and you don't know exactly what the answer is, but your gut says B, I think there's been studies where it shows that people that go with their gut have a better rate of success. So I think there are feelings that kind of originate from that area of your body, your gut, your solar plexus maybe. But I think the true core power is from your heart. I'm sorry that I can't give more at this time. When I was a teenager, I would sit alone in a room and think. And people would come and sit down, near me and say, "Theo, what's wrong?" And in my mind, I was thinking, there's nothing wrong. I'm just spending some time alone, reflecting. But the look on my face was something like that, and I think it kind of messed people up to see this guy, spending time alone, and so it kind of irked them. But the truth is that I don't know how to put this. I think your face can give off a lot. It can reveal a lot. Like my face right now. I think people generally see me as an angry person, and the truth is that I am actually very angry. And I think that probably even comes through in this lecture, that I'm angry. I wonder what I would look like and how I would, come across and present myself if I actually felt better about myself, if I actually had more love in my soul. And how do you become a more loving person? Because that really is the, that's the dream, that's the goal, how to be more loving. It really is all about love and about truth, because truth is your way to love. How do you become more loving? How do you become perfect in love? How do you be perfect as your Heavenly Father is perfect? Well, the way to do that is to feel all of your emotions. And I would distinguish here a difference between loving emotions and unloving emotions, or what you might call good emotions or bad emotions, or positive emotions and negative emotions. And all negative emotions are rooted, are basically sin. They are not of God. They are a creation of man, in other words, humankind. And all loving emotions are of God. God created us with our own unique personalities, and we can express our unique selves if we release all of the filth, essentially, all of the junk and garbage that we've accumulated over our lifetime here on earth and in the spirit world. So, like, this is what I think about when I go through, a video like this, and, 80% of this video might be not useful, because I might be presenting a point and it's not really coming through very lovingly, and so you will not experience it very well. And so I haven't done it as well as I can. But I still feel that 20% is so important that I still want to do this. And I found in my personal life that when I talk about these very important topics, people usually turn off, they shut down, and they are not interested. And so I feel like I have to find alternative ways to talk about these things, and that's what I'm trying to do. But I'm just wanting to prove this to myself. I'm sharing my thought process, which I'm not sure how useful or worthwhile that is when I can do these sorts of things by myself. I guess, yeah, but just to finish that one point about, if you were to release all of the unloving emotions in your soul, and that includes, yes, actually, an emotion of sadness. Some people believe that, life is an ebb and flow. Life is an up and down. And that you experience harsh times or hard times, harsh realities, in order for you to appreciate the good times, or to appreciate the few spoils that whoever is up there throws your way. I cannot agree with that. I just can't agree with that. That does not make sense to me. If God is a perfect being, why wouldn't God create beings that could experience, I don't know if as great a joy as God experiences, but at least something that is close to it? Why wouldn't God create beings that could experience, this, why couldn't God create beings that it could experience joy all the time? I mean, to me, it's pure sadism to say that you can be happy, but first you have to experience all this suffering. You want this? Okay. I'm going to put you through a trial. I'm going to tempt you. I'm going to let Satan tempt you. And then, like in the case of Job, I'm going to take all your children away. I'm going to kill them. I'm going to torture you. And I'm going to ask you after all of that, will you still have faith in me? I cannot see a loving God do that. And I can't think of God as anything else than that. I don't know if that's because I've had experiences with God in my life or what, but I really do. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wanted to say that I really do see God as a loving God, but there are times when I don't. I have major mistrust issues, major trust issues. with God. So that's another thing that deters me from sharing things like this. I mean, I know that Jesus not being at the top of his game, or, he's not perfect yet. He's not at one with God yet. But he's still sharing. And I wonder if God would want me to share too. The last time, I made a video, I felt pretty good. And so I thought from that date, which was like maybe a week and a half ago, or maybe 2 weeks and a half ago, I thought, I really have to do this again because I really enjoyed that. And now I find myself failing and flailing. And yeah, yet another feeling. But if you were to remove all of your sadness, and if you were to remove all of your fear, yes, fear does not have to be a thing. It doesn't have to be a thing with you. All the fear that you've accumulated over your life, you can release all of it. And if you were to release all of your anger, and yes, I'm suggesting that anger is an unloving emotion that is not of God. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Sorry. That's just what came to me, and I thought I'd say it. But I feel that's one of those sayings that's a like you want to intimidate someone, or you want to like demand something of someone when you say something like that. But that's like an example of me not being the best presenter. And you probably found that from having watched all of this. Dude, there is so much that I would like to share. But I think the best decision at this juncture is to stop, to close this out. And I hope and pray that you got something out of it. I hope and pray that I got something out of it. I hope that I have realized that there's so much that I have to do personally before I can become someone who shares more. I don't even know if this is really my passion in life. It might be that my passion has more to do with, I don't know, sharing in some other medium, or, like sharing truths in some other medium, or, creating crafts, or doing something in the realm of products, making products and distributing, or distributing products. Maybe God wants me to be a truck driver. I find that hard to believe, but man, I want to live in a world where I don't know if I want to live in a world where we teleport. Teleportations seems a little strange to me. I'm cool with being a teleporter as a spirit being, in my spirit body, but in my physical body, it just seems a little too strange. I can't imagine people teleporting all the time. Hey, whoa, jeez. I don't think that's how it would actually be. I think if we were as developed enough to just teleport, it would be a mutual thing, and a thing where, the other person consents. Hey, you wanna hang out? Okay. Teleportation. Someone's in, China, and I'm in Chicago. Hey Theo, you wanna hang out? Yes, let's do it. And it's like a mind interaction, mind to mind or heart to heart. Poof, and they're there. Hey, what up? What's up, man? Give them a big hug. But yeah, trucks, man. Like, some of the things I can't imagine being a part of our world. And when and if we perfect the world, not just ourselves, it all comes from ourselves. Like, the earth could work so much differently than it works now. Um, just for starters, animals were not afraid of human beings. Animals were not afraid of the first human ancestors. They would enjoy spending time with the first human ancestors. So imagine walking around and a squirrel is, jumping up on you and crawling on your back and, nestling on your head. And then a little sparrow, perches, flies over and perches on your shoulder. And a rhinoceros comes over and kneels down and gives you these eyes like, hey, do you want to ride? And you say, yeah, let's do it. And then you jump on the back of the rhino, and then, the squirrel on your head is hanging on for dear life, and the rhino is charging ahead, and the sparrow doesn't want any more of it, so it flies off. Maybe it's flying as you're running. I don't know. I'm just thinking of, off the cuff here. But like, God, that would be so awesome. That'd be so cool, I think. But yeah, for starters, we would have the full faith and credit of the animal kingdom to utilize as we so choose. And because we would be loving, because we would be perfect in love, we would not want to see any of our animal friends labor too intensely. We would not put them through any kind of, exploitative, we wouldn't exploit them in any way. And we would always ensure that their well-being and their welfare is maintained before requesting anything of them. And really, it wouldn't even be something like a request or asking. The way that God, as far as I understand, has designed, and this is one of those things that intuitively makes sense to me. You reach out and you grasp what is there handed to you, and things will be handed to you as you reach a condition where your desire is strong enough, is powerful enough to bring and attract that into your life. So if you want a beach house, you come across the money to have it, and you find a perfect beach house somewhere that someone has built, or you build it yourself. Everything that we want, that we truly want, that we want a hard, laborious process. It's a process of just feeling like you feel, oh, I want to do this. I'd really like to have this. And then, as long as you have faith, if you have any kind of doubt, then you will receive it. If you have any kind of fear that it's wrong for you to receive it, any questioning in it, the moment that all of that is expelled from you, that's when you will get it soon after in short order. And if you look at your own life, you can probably see that is true. When you stopped thinking about it, when you stopped worrying about it, when you stopped, what can I say? Like when you lost any frenzy about the thing that you want, any kind of frenzy at all, that's the time when you're creating this perfect, attraction. So yeah, I wish I could explain that better, but in the case of animals, like, you need this tree to get down, I don't know. Let's say there's a dead tree, and it would be nice if that tree was gone tomorrow. Suddenly a swarm of termites start crawling towards that tree and just decompose the tree. Eat it and, decompose it. That's kind of how it would work. And the fact that now, bees make hives in our houses when we don't want it to, and tornadoes, destroy residences, when we're not looking for that, so-called. Um, the fact that anything in nature doesn't work the way we would like it to, that's all because of our unloving emotions that we've held on to, that we've chosen to hold on to. So, again, there's so much more that I could say. And if you're a first-time watcher to this and you're not familiar with the divine truth, then some of these things might be kind of too far out there. But I hope that it wasn't too strange. And I hope that I was able to relay some good information to you. And I think for me, I just really need to work on improving myself, and I need to develop the desire to feel my own emotions, because I see myself as extremely hampered, extremely handicapped in my sharing at this time. There's so much more to share, and I really would encourage you to watch more YouTube videos where Jesus discusses the truths of our universe, the divine truth, the truth of God, the truth that God wants to share with all of us. And you can find the links in the description below for that. And I would really encourage you to just consider your feelings, and you're always already feeling, and these feelings are part of who you are. They are part of your soul, of which your physical body and your spirit body are mere appendages. That's not to discount them, but it's only to drive home the point that we are this emotional being ultimately. And I encourage you to reflect on that. Thank you very much for watching and spending this time with me.